I've seen a lot of comments from people along the lines of, doesn't the Tarnished's immortality come from Destined death being removed from the Elden Ring? And I thought it would be good to make a video to clear up as much of the topic as I can. My name is Alex, I am the Silver Mont, and let's get into it. First up, there are two forms of immortality in Elden Ring that we know of. For the sake of ease, we'll refer to them as Tarnished and Demigod. The former is the player's version of immortality, which stems from the guidance of grace. This is the golden light that, once faded, earned the Tarnished their name. They are tarnished because they no longer have the grace of gold. Exiled from the lands between, they died far away from home. We could assume that other characters within the lands between, such as the aristocrats that we find wandering around looking very decrepit, have this same form of immortality. Then, in the beginning of the game, we see the grace returning to our character in the form of a golden orb that touches their corpse, bringing them back to life. This isn't just speculation or anything, this is as close to facts as we can get in a game with such vague storytelling. Indeed, this is right from game director Miyazaki's mouth, from an interview in the Elden Ring Overture. The immortality of the Tarnished originates with the guidance of grace. So your next question is, what about the demigods? Well, the interviewer had the same question. Do the demigods not receive the immortality that grace provides? And Miyazaki responds, no, theirs is a different story entirely, a story that it isn't time to tell yet. He then goes on to remark that their immortality stems from having their fated deaths removed from the Elden Ring, which might also lead you to think, okay, so destined death being removed means that it controls death in some manner, right? Well, here's where it gets a little less clear. But I'll tell you what I think, backed up with as many facts as I can. First up, this overture has two translations. The official one, that's the one that I've been putting up on screen here, and a fan translation from the Japanese one, which both give slightly different wording. The fan one says, the immortality of the demigods is associated with the removal of fate's death from the Elden Ring. Here's the thing, either way, fated death or fate's death is almost certainly destined death. What is destined death? Almost all of the in-game evidence suggests it is a weapon or a tool that can be used to slay gods. If you like, you could compare it with the Mortal Blade from Shadows Die Twice, although we don't know the exact nature of destined death. We only have comparisons. I'm going to read you some descriptions straight from the game that back all this up, and they'll be loosely ordered. The Glomide Queen led the Apostles. It is said that she was an Empyrean chosen by the Fingers. The Apostles were all embraced by the Glomide Queen, and the Black Flame was their armour within. Ammon swore fealty to the god-slaying Black Flame, and so became the first fire monk to turn traitor. The sacred sword of the Glomide Queen who controlled the Apostles, before her defeat at the hands of Malekith. The black flames wielded by the Apostles are channeled from this sword. The black flame could once slay gods, but when Malekith sealed destined death, the true power of the black flame was lost. The Apostles, once said to serve destined death, are wielders of the god-slaying black flame. But after their defeat by Malekith, the source of their power was sealed away. The Rune of Death goes by two names. The other is Destined Death. On the night of the Black Knives, someone stole a fragment of death from Malekith and imbued its power into the assassin's daggers. Marika's sole need of her shadow Malekith was a vessel to lock away Destined Death. After a fragment of death was stolen on that fateful night, Malekith bound the blade within his own flesh, such that none might ever rob death again. The Golden Order was created by confining destined death. Thus, this new order will be one of death restored. And finally, well, just listen to this line of dialogue.
Black flames have devoured the Erd Tree, and the lands between are shrouded by death's dark fate.
It seems highly likely that destined death is the god-slaying black flame in some capacity. Perhaps not exactly the same as you might say that perhaps Marika and Malekith transformed it in some way into a rune, for example. But unless the black flame is completely separate and it just happened to lose its power when Destined Death was sealed away, well, it seems plain that the Gloam-Eyed Queen is the one who originally possessed Destined Death, this black flame, and then Marika had Malekith defeat the Queen so that Destined Death could be sealed away. Presumably the only thing that could kill the demigods, as it was with an assassin's knife imbued with it, the Godwyn was the first of the demigods to fall. And if you look at any of the Destined Death themed attacks, such as from Malekith's sword or his incantation, well, it is a black flame. Technically it's black and red, but oh well. There is a lot of evidence to support all of this, where there's virtually no evidence to suggest that Destined Death is just a device or a concept, a rune that controls death. Slotting it in and out of the Elden Ring means you can remove death as a concept in the lands or reality. But there's still some problems to go over. If Destined Death is the only way to kill a demigod, how did the Tarnished kill Radahn, for example? Well, one person suggested to me that Radahn is just knocked unconscious until the end of the game when you unleash Destined Death, and that's when he dies. And their evidence to back this up was Morgott, whose body only fades when we go back there after burning the Erd Tree with Destined Death. It's certainly a theory, but it's not one I really buy into, considering after we defeat Radahn, for example, the whole point of that was kind of to kill him, not to just knock him out, and I feel like a character would have said that, either Blythe or Alexander or Jeren. Furthermore, they claimed that death doesn't exist at all in the lands between because it was sealed away. So everything you kill is just either falling unconscious or respawning, when that also wouldn't really make sense because things still respawn after we unleash Destined Death. I just don't really buy into that, as it sounds absurd to me that you could like go up to a dog and smack it and then it just passes out and gets back up, or it like respawns but then doesn't respawn after Destined Death. I think the most likely explanation for this sort of inconsistency, this discrepancy, whatever, is just that it's a video game. And it's the same sort of logic behind hollows and NPCs in Dark Souls, who the enemies can respawn when you rest at a bonfire, but then some NPCs don't respawn even though technically they should, and yes, according to the game's own rules, we shouldn't be able to kill demigods without Destined Death, by everything we know from the lore, but we clearly do, so I think it's best to just overlook that, or come up with your own reasoning. Who knows, maybe the guidance of grace that touched the Tarnished at the start of the game had a fragment of Destined Death embedded within it, and maybe Ranni detected that when we spoke to her, and that's why she wants us to help her with her questline. Who knows, you can make up your own reasoning there. Either way though, I hope this has helped clear up some confusion regarding the topics of immortality and what Destined Death is, as I am 99% certain that Destined Death is the god-slaying black flame. Malekith beat up the Gloam-Eyed Queen, took it, and sealed it away, because Marika was like, hey, this can burn my kids and I'm not okay with that. It's a threat to me. And if you're wondering why all the random soldiers and the like in Elden Ring are all messed up, hollow-looking zombie sausages, that's a very good question. Maybe a topic for another day. Maybe it's just because the general people in the lands between, they have the same sort of immortality the Tarnished has, just their life gets stretched out. Kind of like what Bilbo was saying in Lord of the Rings, feeling like butter spread over too much bread, or whatever he said. Maybe that's the price to pay for living a very long, long life, but not really doing anything with it. In summary, we have two forms of immortality that we know of. Demigods, and we don't know where that stems from, probably just their divinity, and the guidance of grace for the Tarnished. Demigods could supposedly only be killed by Destined Death, which is also needed to burn down the Erd Tree, you'll notice. Whereas Tarnished, well, who knows if Destined Death works the same on them. And the most likely source for the demigod's immortality is that it comes all from Marika, and she probably got it from the Elden beast, that divine blob-looking thing. Until next time, though, thank you so much for watching, and take care.